Okay, so straight up, I get a lot of people jobs, just period. I've been helping people get jobs for years. I've been helping people build their careers. Really, I watched my dad help people build careers. He worked with like at-risk youth and all that stuff, like growing up, and then by the time I was like in high school, and like I'd talk to people about how they can get like summer jobs and stuff like that, and help people learn how to like you do their own thing. And I always ran my own stuff and sold things. And then after that came college and all that good stuff. I just helped people get jobs all through college. I would help get people connected to directors and things that I worked with, and like you name it. It's just something that I've done. It's just a thing that I do, is I help people get jobs. And then when I got doing more tech and all that good stuff all along the way, same thing, just help people get jobs. It's just a thing that I guess it went from like watching my dad do it to just it became a hobby, because it's like, oh yeah, that's just what you do. You help people get the things they want in life, and it's awesome. Well, I think it is awesome. So I'm going to do something today, which I'm just literally going to show you how to get a job the easiest way in cybersecurity that I've been able to find out of talking to hundreds of people and watching thousands of people and talking to thousands of people throughout the years. And I will say straight up that right now, just with modern technology and modern targeting, there is one way that is easier to get a job in, say, any industry, period. It doesn't matter the industry, but because it works for any industry, it is, from what I've seen from talking to people, hearing their experiences, people who do this have the easiest time that I have watched. And I've watched a lot of people get jobs, watched a lot of people try to work through getting jobs. I've watched people spend years trying to get a job and not get into the industry, who didn't do this stuff. But without fail, people who do what I'm going to show you, not only do they get people trying to hire them, but you get the luxury of being able to turn people down and people coming to you instead of looking for a job. And I'm going to talk about why this works. So first and foremost, what I'm going to show you is what I don't recommend doing. Don't do this. Let me show you what I don't recommend doing. We could say go to I don't know, Indeed.com. Going to Indeed.com is great, but you know it's not great relying on Indeed.com, because it's basically like a rolling lottery. Not just Indeed, but we could go on to Glassdoor. Actually, I guess I could just type Glassdoor.com. So we could go to Glassdoor.com. I think there's another one called Monster.com. Let me show you what not to do, or at least let me show you what it's not that you shouldn't. Let me just show you. Let's go. So job search real quick here. If I am like, I want to find a job, the first thing that comes to mind is for most people when I talk to them, they're like, oh, I've been looking at job posts and job recs and all these things, and we say cyber security and we hit search. When we do this, then of course we get the jobs that are out there. But I'll tell you what, if you're if you do the thing that everyone else is doing to look for a job, then just understand that you're doing the thing that everyone else does to get a job. And if you want to increase your chances and odds of getting a job, you want to start doing things that no one really does. And there are a lot of reasons why people don't do it, because it requires work and effort. But I'll tell you right now, while it doesn't seem like it's that much work to just go on to a lot of these posts and click on General Assistant, whatever, it doesn't matter which one of these I click on, and take a look at these. You can click on Apply Now, gives you a little stuff, you choose a file, and basically launch your information and resume out into the void, not even necessarily knowing if it will ever go anywhere or if it'll ever do anything that you want. It doesn't really. It just launches it out into the void. So same thing with Glassdoor. We can go and say find a job. We can scroll in here, and it wants you to log in and all these good things. But Monster.com, same sort of thing. Cybersecurity. And LinkedIn has a job board too. Now, once again, job boards are not bad. But if you rely on them, just once again, understand that job boards are basically like scratch tickets to me. I look at them like scratch tickets. I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't, like, I've had times when I'm just like, you know what? Just for the hell of it, why not just get the scratch ticket and just see what I get? Great, whatever. And I half the time I don't even expect to get anything. Sometimes I get something. Awesome. Well, this is the scratch ticket way to look for jobs if you just apply this way. But let me show you the secret behind job boards. It's not actually using the job boards this way. Now, some other context that I need to give you. Context. Context is everything. So cybersecurity, people applying to cybersecurity. Why am I making this video? For people who are applying to cybersecurity, I talk to so many people all the time, just like on a constant rolling, regular, never-ending basis, which is great. But one of the issues that I run into is people are like, oh, these job recs don't make any sense. They're not reasonable. And if I look through this and read this, let's just see. Senior security architects. Now, this is for a senior security architect role. Let's look for something more entry level. Threat analyst level 1. So this is a threat level analyst level 1 job rec right here. And while you absolutely can get this job by applying this way, just once again, applying through the standard ways of applying to things puts you at the same footing as everyone else who's competing against you to get a job. And I've posted job things before, and like if you have like hundreds of people to dig through, and you're trying to like scroll, okay, well, which one of these should I? You're gonna really just take the first ones that look worth looking at, and then just kind of go through a list. And you might not even have time, with the amount of time that you have to do your hiring and all that stuff, to look at every single person that you're trying to hire. Basically, you literally might not have time to look at every little person, and so. Because the other thing is recruiters and hiring managers, they're usually hiring for multiple positions. They usually have a lot more going on. So even you might be like, well, it's been 2 months since I submitted that application. You'd think they'd have time in 2 months. Oh, you'd be surprised at how fast 2 months goes by and someone hasn't even had time to look at your information. Not even close to the time to look at your information. And then when time gets tight, people need to just hire whoever is going to be the best that they had time to review. That's what you're subjecting yourself to with job board applications, which is, once again, it's fine. Just understand that it's also a little bit of a, you could think of like a Russian roulette even. It's a little bit like Russian roulette. It's a little bit like scratch cards. You just never know. You don't know if it's going to be the one. Which maybe Russian roulette's not a good one, because it's it's not going to end in disaster. It's going to end in good things. Like, so scratch ticket's a much better example. So this says, what do we need here? Skills. So experience. It says experience with any of the following, and then it says what you need experience with. And then it says down here what you'll bring. Now this is one that gets people 1 to 3 years of professional work experience in the security field. Now I would argue this is a very reasonable job rec right here. 1 to 3. I've seen ones that's like for a level 1, like I've seen jobs that are less advanced than this, and this is a pretty advanced job. Less advanced than this being like, you need 5 years job experience. Well, that's nonsense. So the part that you care about in these job recs, maybe I should just make the text bigger. It's so small. Okay, that's a little more TV friendly, or I guess big screen friendly. If I'm looking at all of these job recs, get wrecked. Some things that you'll notice, and Sim tools notice. Sim is actually really great technology. I use Sim. Notice in here that it's telling you things that you'll do. So you're going to be doing things with Sim. Okay, so we're figuring out what they want. So you can use. I would argue that job recs are best for trying to figure out what employers want, and not best for doing the actual application. You're like, what are they looking for? What are they trying to hire? Okay, let's take a look at the job rec. So this is what I call starting what I call a career, let's see, starting what's called a skill-based job hunt. A skill-based job hunt ignores job recs, and I tell people, I'm like, "Oh, just apply anyways." And people are like, "Oh, but it says that I need these things, or they told me that I need." No, you don't. You don't need almost anything. Let me tell you what. The real thing that you need is a way to prove to an employer that you actually can do the job, and that is a challenging thing to do. But I'm going to show you some secrets and some shortcuts to prove that without trying to just apply to people and go through like 5 interviews and some madness. You might still go through 5 interviews. One time, one of the jobs I got, I did 7 interviews, and after the 7th interview, I got the job. So I mean, it happens. This is years ago, and they still do stuff like this, and it is what it is at the end of the day. But anyways, what you'll run into is these job recs. They tell you what they want to know, and also, hey, look, so SOC. SOC skills. And they tell us exactly what OS skills we need. This is more valuable than the job rec. The rest of the job rec is just figuring out the skills that they're looking for. So, okay, so they want someone who has any of these. It says and or. As a matter of fact, they don't even care if you don't know how to use all of them. You just have to know how to use one operating system. One. Could be OS 10. It could be Linux, it could be Windows, but there's things that get them to want to hire you. It's not knowing all of these that gets you hired. You really only need to know one of these to get hired. You don't need to know all these. It's because notice emphasis on it says or. Now, bear with me. Scripting skills, once again, skills. Well, look at these job recs for the skills. You want to know, like, what skills do you need to refine? When you know what skills you need to refine, you don't need to go to some big fancy thing to like Academy or something. You don't need to go do all this fancy whatever other stuff. I have no idea. Really, you just need these skills. It's really that simple. In cybersecurity, it's really that simple. And then abandon using scratch tickets to get jobs. And then it talks about experiences. But wait a minute, I've talked about this before. What qualifies as experience? Oftentimes, people as individuals, almost only qualify experience as like a full-time paid job. Believe it or not, many employers, including employers like myself, the very few times that I ever do any hiring of any sort or selecting partners, qualify life experience as experience. What do you do at home? Do you have like a gaming rig that you do all kinds of stuff on, and a special firewall that you use to meter the network traffic on all of your games to make sure that you get, someone else can be watching Netflix, and them watching Netflix won't impact the latency of your video game experience. If you've been doing something like that, and then you have like a VPN running in your house, that is a full-time like job experience on and a half, because you do it at home, which means you do it for fun, which means you know what you're doing. You have experience. And it's so painful watching people like, "Oh, but I have no experience," when they've quite literally done these things. They're like, "Oh, but I have no experience." And then they tell people this. If you have experience actually doing something, tell people you have experience to do something. It's your fault. I'm saying it. It's your fault if you don't get a job because you don't qualify yourself. People who don't qualify themselves and aren't willing to don't deserve to get jobs. I'm saying that, it sounds mean, but you don't deserve to get a job if you can't even qualify yourself. Why do I say that? Because it takes an instant to decide that you're going to start qualifying yourself. You're like, well, in the past, I've been thinking that I don't have experience in things, but now that I really think about it, I have been doing a lot with my home networking, and I've been experimenting, and I have home labs, and I have a server at home that I run myself, and I've built gaming rigs, and I know how to use a Raspberry Pi, and I know how to do all this stuff, and I've done it at home, and I have experience doing it. I've used pFence. I've played around with Cisco. I've worked with Palo Alto networks, just experimenting with things maybe. Who knows, if you've been doing these things, maybe you've been tinkering around with Wireshark. I've met people who, as a matter of fact, I've had students who are very experienced with Wireshark, and then they go and apply to a cybersecurity job, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any experience in the industry." Tell them about the experience you actually have. If you want a job, if you don't want a job, tell people that you don't know how to do things you do know how to do. Now, let's get back into how to do skill-based searches so that people can get jobs. You actually don't need a college degree to get a cyber job. You don't need 50,000 certifications to get a job. You don't need all this stuff. All you need, some of them, it says right here, certifications, a plus. I think certifications are a plus, but will I work with people who don't have certifications? Absolutely. If someone has a lot of certifications, I'm impressed. That's impressive. That's a lot of work. If someone doesn't have certifications, really all I need is some other means to figure out if they know something or figure out if they can do something. See, like, are they capable of doing the job? And without certifications, I'm not really sure. And so I need things that are evidence that you're capable of doing the job. That's all we really need as employers. We really just need evidence that you can do the job. Aptitude is more valuable than experience. If someone has incredibly high aptitude with 1 year of tinkering at home, incredibly high aptitude, there could be another person who has 10 years working in cybersecurity, and the person with 1 year and insanely high technical aptitude jumps in with 1 year experience and blows this person with 10 years of experience out of the water just because this person comes with aptitude and passion. And I'll tell you what, passion usually translates into aptitude, and oftentimes aptitude translates into passions. So if you're passionate about something techie, that's evidence that you have aptitude for tech. If you are, and even somewhat of an enthusiast with tech, that means that you have some degree of aptitude, which is wildly important. And in my opinion, and in the opinions of many other employers, that aptitude means a tremendous amount. Now, experience matters for certain things. Like if you want to be in a senior role, that's a whole nother story. But if you're just trying to get like a level 1 job or an entry-level job or something like that, a lot of the stuff you can, if you're missing the skills, is spend 3 months on each skill and just do it at home and Google some stuff and just self-teach yourself. Bam, go and then go get a job. Like literally, just go get a job. You really don't have to do all that. So, anyways, this is what a skill-based search is where you look at job recs, where you look at the skills you have, and then I'll tell you what. So, watch this. If I'm like, okay, so the first thing is figure out the skills that people are looking for that you have. That's step one. Step one. Look for the skills that you already have that employers are looking for. Find that. Very important. Now, let's move to step 2 for a skill-based search. Step 2 for a skill-based search is to take the skills. Let's say you know Linux. Let's say that you know how to use Linux. Maybe you use it really well. That's actually a rare skill. Let's just say what? And just search Linux. Haha. Don't search job titles. This is the other one. I strongly recommend don't look for job titles, because job titles in cybersecurity are painfully misleading, like regrettably misleading. And you can be looking for him like, oh man, I can't find a job that does SOC or a job that's focused on Linux. I can't find that. Don't search for job titles, search for skills, and then see what exists. There might be job titles you've quite literally never heard of. So for Linux, we have system admins. Okay, cool. We've heard of system admins. Senior cloud migration lead. I bet a lot of you have never heard of a cloud migration lead. I used to do cloud migrations. Cloud migrations are hard and a lot of work, and it's a full-time job to manage migrations, especially if you have to do multiple ones. I remember, oh man, migrations. Anyways, I won't get too much into it. Migrations are a serious pain. But the thing is, it pays well for a reason. Now for this is a senior role. Senior now, 6+ years. Okay, so you might need to be someone with a little more experience for a senior role. Okay, but let's keep going. Site reliability engineer. And if you're scrolling and you're not finding something that's like a little more specific, notice right here we have threat analyst right here. So once again, carbon black. So you just scroll and see what exists. And you're like, okay, so this is a threat analyst role. Okay, great. And then criminal info systems coordinator. Oh, interesting. It even tells us a salary range. We can click on that. And maybe you've never even heard of a criminal info systems coordinator. Cybersecurity, everyone. Cybersecurity, welcome. Welcome to the industry. Welcome to the jobs that no one applies to. Welcome to these jobs that no one applies to. No one applies to these jobs because no one knows that these job titles exist, because most people do title-based job hunts. And they look for titles and then they say, I can't find a job, and these jobs don't exist, and they're not out there, and I've looked and I've applied to every... No, you haven't. I say that because every time I work with people, they get jobs. So unless they give up. Usually I say give yourself... I recommend taking 6 months to look for a job, because I recommend not taking just the first thing you want. But if you just want to do a job hunt and take the first thing that comes to you, it could be a help desk job. And you know what? Getting a help desk job is great. If you're just trying to get started, help desk is a great way to try to figure out if you like. If you don't even know what you like, maybe just spend 3 months getting the first help desk job you can find, and then just kind of test it out, see what it's like, and you get paid in the process too. And then you can also learn on the job, and then when you're ready to move on to something else, or I've met a lot of people who end up just staying in support and end up making 6 figures doing support. You can make 6 figures doing support. It's a great job for people who enjoy or like talking to people. I like talking, if you've noticed. And I do. I talk to people all the time. And if you message me, I will probably talk to you, because I'm one of those people who likes to talk to people. So help desk jobs for people who like to talk to people, pretty much like at this point in my business, 100% of my job, like aside from like the R&D stuff, is all help desk. I do help desk every day. And like if I don't, I just go out of business. I don't eat if I don't do help desk. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Help desk, it's a career. But you can look at things that have the skills that you're looking for. So Linux, let's see where this post right here even says Linux in it. Somewhere in this, someone wrote down that this job requires Linux in it. That's called search engine optimization. So that's a job that requires Linux one way or another. Now we could type in another skill. Now I'm not going to do this much longer because I want to let you just do this. And now I was thinking this is going to be not that long of a video. So just think of another skill like Python. Just search Python. Director of Technical Instruction, Online Computer Science Tutor, Program Manager, Software Linux Application Engineer. And you can just keep looking and see which one would be, Senior Data Engineer, which one might be a little more oriented towards cybersecurity. And once again, we have that Threat Analyst job there, Data Specialist, Advanced Threat Research Analyst at another company, Carbon Black and Carbonite. You can take a look at these. And 2 years experience is what they're looking for, but 2 years experience that you can build yourself. Or if you've been building Python scripts for 2 years, and then okay, so not a lot of people have malware reverse engineering experience. I have that, but I've been working in cybersecurity for a long time. But either way, like, some people who just tinker, if you've been messing with Python and JavaScript on your own just because, like, you have 2 years experience. Tell people what you know how to do. So anyways, let me move on to how you then proceed from here, because there's a way to, I call this headhunting, and I'm just going to straight up show you how to hunt people down. So for the most part, this doesn't work unless you're honest about it. I promise you, because like, for whatever reason, like, people's intuition, they can kind of sniff out when you're BSing them. So first, like, look at jobs that interest you, that you actually seem to think that, like, this looks interesting to me, this suits me, this works with skills that I have. Like, yeah, like, find the stuff that you're into so that you can start an honest job search. And then the next thing that you should do is look at the name of the company. This is Carbonite. Carbonite is hiring an advanced threat research analyst. So let's go over to LinkedIn, and I'm going to teach you some secrets. This is how you headhunt. So if I want to talk to someone from Carbonite, I can say Carbonite. There we go. I just go to LinkedIn, and I can go type Carbonite. Oh, wonderful. It says cyber resilience means prepping, whatever. So this is great. And scroll down, and in here, it tells me some stuff. It tells me the people who are at this company. And right away, now I'm connected to a number of people and whatnot, but right away we can see who some of these people are, and see, like, and this is where the honesty comes into play. If you see a company that you actually like and would want to work with, like, what you want to do is you want to connect with one of these people. And for privacy purposes, I'm not going to message them. But let's say I did want to connect to someone. I'm just going to go ahead and connect to this person. Looks quite friendly. So I'm just going to send them a message and say, hey, say something nice to people like, I really like the type of work your company does. I'd love to hear more about your job and how you got into that line of work sometime. I'm trying to get into the field, and I'd love to work toward being like you someday. Literally only do this with someone where you're honest about this, which is why I'm not going to send this message like this. I'm going to change the message that's more appropriate to who I am, because this would make no sense for me to send this message to someone I'm not looking for a job. I'm not that person. But think about it this way. If someone sent you a message like this and you're working at a company, is it not flattering that someone wants to know how you achieved what you did, and wants to listen to how you did it and all this stuff? And I'll tell you what, even if that person never ends up being able to help you get a job at that company, do this with as many people as you can, like humanly possible, on LinkedIn that are like at the kinds of companies that you're looking for. And this is just the first thing that you do. Go find the people first, and connect with all the people who are associated with the type of work that you dream about, that you wish you could be doing. And I mean, quite literally, just have conversations with them and ask them how they did it. Just ask them how they did it. Ask them how. Ask them what they did to get the job. Ask them every little detail. And then do this with person after person after person. And yes, it sounds exhausting, but you know what? It sounds like a lot of work already, but you know what? I'll tell you what's a lot of work. Going to job boards every day, launching your resume off into the void, and having no idea what's going to happen. And then every time you launch your resume off into the void, there's no progress that makes it easier with the next application. It doesn't get easier and easier and easier with time. It just stays the same forever. And then it's just a scratch ticket until you just simply buy enough scratch tickets to make money. There is a YouTube video with Mr. Beast, and he just bought a whole bunch of scratch tickets. I don't know if anyone watches Mr. Beast who's watching me, but Mr. Beast just got a whole bunch of scratch tickets and just I think he was scratching scratch tickets until it got to like $30,000 or something. I don't even know. He's just trying to see how hard it is, how many scratch tickets you have to buy to get to a certain amount of money. And it's like that with job boards. But the thing is, by starting with the skill-based search on the job boards, finding the companies you like with the job boards, finding out who's hiring with the job boards, use the job boards as a tool to figure out what exists in the first place, what's even out there in the first place, because we don't know. And then find the people at the places that you like, and talk to as many of them who are willing to talk to you, period. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it's anxiety inducing, but you know what doing this does is it expands your network, and then the people who you talk to will actually start backing you up and supporting you, and they'll even tell other people that you're looking for a job. You're like, hey, you know what? I know someone else who's hiring, so I'm gonna invite Tim to connect here. I'm gonna say, hi Tim. I help people get jobs, and I would really appreciate connecting with you. I think what you do is great, and I think you set a good example for others looking for work too. I mean, this person's worked their way into the industry. It's a lot of work to get into this stuff, and this person has insights and things that they can, like, just by this person being a senior director, like, the trail of work to get to where this person has been, if I'm honest, is tremendous. And so, really, good work, Tim. I respect that because I know the amount of work that involves. Basically, it's just it's a obnoxious amount of work. So from there, that's where you start. And then finally, the thing that lets you like expand your job hunt so that you can kind of build a little audience of, basically, this is how you find and build people who will help work with you to help you accomplish what you're doing, by finding people that you want to connect with, doing work that you believe in, doing work that you would like to be doing. Because what people really want to hire is, people want to hire someone who they would like to work with. This is how it works. I'm going to say this again. People hire people who they would like to work with. You could be the most talented person in the universe, the most talented person on the planet. You could be better than everyone and the smartest, but if no one likes working with you, you're not going to get hired, because people want to work with someone who they like working with. Because I'll tell you what, being skilled enough to do the job, that's a dime a dozen thing. But being good at the job and being someone that people like, that's what they hire. People hire the person they like. You have to be at least capable of the job. But once you're capable of the job, it's all connection if you want to have an easy time. And then I'll tell you, after about 3 months, if you did this every day and just connect with as many people as you can every day, and talk to people, within 3 months, you'll have basically just like this army of people trying to help you get jobs, who are like, hey, you know, I found this one company. I really like what you're about. I like what you've been working on, all these things. Like, you're awesome. Like, people will just start helping you out. Now, this is the cherry on top that you do the whole time along the way while you build your following. Let me show you. This is the big secret. Let's begin the secret. This is the most important part of the entire video. So the most important part of the video is, from here, while you're connecting with people, you do things that help businesses out. And this is a really odd sounding thing, but there's something called curating. And curating, it helps businesses out tremendously. And because it helps businesses out tremendously, if you curate, it makes businesses like you, or at least the businesses that you curate their content from, but really only curate stuff with, once again, be honest, and do it with people who you believe in, people you like, companies and articles. So if I just say, if we were talking about skills earlier, one of them was Python. So if I just search Python and I go and look for news, Python news, immediately typing Python news is going to show a bunch of articles. And, you know, people who write articles, if you help their business, basically they'll result in your audience expanding rapidly, but do it with people who like their work, and basically you all help each other out. By you curating their content, they'll do things that, because marketers are marketers, they'll do things to, out of appreciation, that'll help expand your audience in return, in exchange, because it's like, oh, this person, like, if you were to curate my content and curate my stuff, that helps my business so much that you'd better believe that someone who curates my stuff on a regular basis, the stuff that they actually like. Now, if they're being dishonest, then I'm going to just be like, I don't want a dishonest person just like trying to get in my ranks and, you know, all this, and take advantage of anything. But if someone genuinely likes my stuff and they're like, I really love your work, I think it's awesome, it's helped me out tremendously, and then they're like, hey, you know, this helps other people, I'm gonna just spread this to other people who will benefit from it. It helps me help more people. And it's the same for the people who are writers, because the content creators, we spend a tremendous amount of time writing content, like an obscene amount of time writing content and creating it. And we have, looks like Jack Wallen right here. I don't know Jack Wallen, but he wrote this article, or Jack wrote this article right here, which tells me that Jack spends a tremendous amount of time probably writing content, if this is something that Jack has done. And it feels good when you put in this much work that people come around and do like things out of appreciation out of this hard work you did. So let's see what this is. Is this something that I want to share? So if I like this article, then I'll consider sharing it. Now, let me find something that I like, because I don't want to curate something. It's not that I don't like this, but if I'm looking for Raspberry Pi stuff, so like I very specifically like things like Raspberry Pi. So if I think about like something like this, like I think it's interesting. I find like an article like Raspberry Pi boot from SSD. This is something that I've been experimenting with lately. There are a lot of great write-ups, but here we have one from Tom's Hardware. Let's take a look at it. Tom's Hardware is a website that I like to look at. I'll disable my ad blocker for them. Why not? Let's say pause ad blocker, continue. Wonderful. Let's give them a little ad revenue. I like this website. So actually, for the sake of this video, resume ad blocking, because I'm also not advertising what's going on these ads. But there they go. They get a little ad revenue from that. So now I'll remove the ads. So if I look at this article, it looks like it's by someone named Les Pounder, and let's see if we can find out who this person is, so we can try to give them a shout out. So they have a lot of things that they write. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like this person does all kinds of awesome stuff that I really think is really actually awesome. So I'm not going to curate something that I don't think is awesome. As a matter of fact, we just ordered one of these cases because my CTO is like, this case, you have to look at this case. I saw that case. I'm like, we need to look at this case. This case looks amazing. So clearly, this is a person that I would want to give a shout out to. Like, this work is awesome. I don't know what else to say. So let me go ahead and make this person's day, and I call this Building Champions Online. And Building Champions gets you jobs faster than job boards, because then people come to you wanting to hand you the jobs and things. So here's how you curate. There's a very just follow this formula. This is a very specific formula. So faster USB disk I/O. So first I'm going to remember this person's name. The first thing I need to do is see if I can find this person on LinkedIn. Oh, perfect. We found them. And they are also a third connection to me. And so this might be a connection who would turn me down otherwise if I tried to connect to this person. You know, they've got it locked down. I got to message them and stuff like that if I want to connect. Some people you can just connect with them. So this person right here, this must be a name of people who like to work with technology, because this is a security and investigations professional, and this person likes to do associate editing. I'm just going to connect with this person. Why not? Why not? Okay. So, anyways, this is the person that I want to shout out to. So what we're going to do now that I know that they are on LinkedIn is I am going to curate this. And to curate it, the first thing I need to do is just, let's just start a new post here. So start a new post. I'm going to blast mine out to Twitter, and I'm going to start by just grabbing the article in the first place. Let's copy that right there. And I'm going to, yeah, there we go. When you paste a link in LinkedIn, when it creates a little preview like this, you can actually go and delete the link. You don't have to keep the link in there. So now the first thing I need to do is very specifically find a quote. And this is how you produce, this is how you kind of get yourself noticed without having to create your own content. This is a bypass of creating content in a social way, that just by helping people out. So basically I'm saying that you can get a job by just helping people out. That's what I'm telling you. You can get a job by helping people out. This says, in a recent, let me just find a good quote here. Let's see. One of Jeff's benchmarks shows just how much of a difference UASP can be. HD parm tests show bot transfer. Huh. Anyways, maybe I should try this article. Is this article from the same yeah, okay. Let's take a look at this. So I'm actually going to change that. So you might even look through an article and decide, maybe I'm going to use a different article. And I'm just going to keep showing all of this because I want to show you kind of how I do this. And people curate me already, so... Like, if someone curates me, it absolutely makes my day. I'm like, oh wow, this person like actually likes me. It's flattering because it's like we work really hard, and if you work really hard, like of course you hope someone likes your work. So let's see, measuring, da 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 da. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this. So basically, you want to find a quote in here that you like. It could be a whole paragraph. It says, ultimately, a case such as this is all about how effectively it can cool the Raspberry Pi 4, and we learn more about that once we get one in for review. So they're ordering one in for review, we're ordering one in for review, and you know, cooling, especially because I overclock, and if anyone's been watching my stuff, I'm doing testing on overclocking Raspberry Pis. And this is my favorite case right here, the Argon 1 case for Raspberry Pis. So I'm going to get this person in my network and give this person a shout out for making awesome content that I just really like. It is a striking case. So let's do this. So paste in your quote, and then we say Les wrote this article for this case. I'm excited about this because we recently ordered the same case, and I really wish it was here already. I am an overclocking enthusiast. So these sorts of things captivate me entirely. Yeah, and the funny thing about it is when it's honest, it's not even like brown nosing or anything. It's just straight up honest. I'm like, this case is awesome, and I'm like, I was scrolling through that, and you watched me. I was like, oh, I just got that case, and I'm like, oh. I'm frustrated because we don't have it yet, and then it looks like they're waiting for it too, and it's just like, why can't it just be here already? I don't know. It's gonna make me a little insane because I've been doing overclocking testing, and I can't test with this case until I have it. And then one thing that I do is I put my hashtags throughout what I write. So I'm gonna go back, and before I send this, because they're the two most important things here is you at the person, so I at less, and this works on not just on LinkedIn. If you want to create attention for like something other than business, LinkedIn is just really great for looking for a job. You can use this to get attention elsewhere. This works on Instagram. This works on Facebook. This works everywhere. Curating. This is called curating. And let's see. So then I litter my hashtags throughout. And there are reasons for that. I don't really feel like getting into that. This is not a video about hashtags. You can hashtag similarly to how I do it. And then I do use hashtags that have a lot of views in them. So like one that I use regularly because it gets a lot of views in there is technology. So you can use hashtags that have a lot of followers to expand who sees your post. So dare to try is one that I use to expand my where I'm seen. So I'm going to say hashtag design, and let's hashtag striking. Why not? And then let's see, I'm going to add this. Raspberry Pi 4 case. So Les wrote this article about this Raspberry Pi 4 case. I'm excited about this because we recently ordered the same case. And I really wish it was here already. I'm an overclocking enthusiast, so these sorts of things captivate me entirely. So basically, the purpose of this is to help your audience get to know you. If you don't make posts that help your audience get to know you, this will not work for you. And the point of curating is to both show people what you like, and so that people who like the same things will find you, and those are the people who end up following and hiring you. So you want to create things that attract you to attract people who are attracted to the same things that you're attracted to, and then you post that on the internet for the world. And so then when you do these posts, of course it launches itself out into LinkedIn, but if you were to do at least one a day and connect with at least like about 5 people a day for 3 months, I know that sounds like a lot of work. I know it does, but it will turn into a job. And when you do this, it'll show you, if you go and view the post after you post it, it'll show how recently you posted it. This shows I just posted it now, but I can scroll down. And if in order to find more people like you, the LinkedIn algorithm tries to find more people like the ones who engage with the post. So if you engage with your own post, I'm going to just make this insightful one. Now, yellow is the most eye-catching color on the spectrum. So adding a light bulb will increase the likelihood that it catches someone's eye. The heart can be somewhat eye-catching, but yellow is something that, just for whatever reason, we subconsciously register yellow above other colors. It's something that we do. It's why caution signs are yellow. It's a lot that goes into that. It's a little bit of social engineering, but like your own post and then use something like an insightful or something otherwise, if you don't use that one, something that suits the post. And don't use the thumbs up one on your own posts. It's better to just not even give a thumbs up for that matter, unless it's because you'll get more out of the other. I don't know. I guess you could use the thumbs up, but you'll get more out of using one of these other ones. I've done a lot of testing around this. I'm not going to explain a lot more than that, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. And the other thing that happens is after it's been posted for a while, if you refresh your post, where it starts to show time, now that shows it's been out for 1 minute, I can see that it has 3 views. A way that I gauge if a post is going to perform well, and so I can keep making more posts like that, or really like if you continue to make posts that are very specific to things that you like, you'll get more and more people who start to follow you because you like things that they like. People follow people that like the same things as them online. People follow people that like the same things as them online, and people like people that like the same things as them generally. Even if we don't think about that blatantly, it's a subconscious thing. So if I see that the view count is higher than the amount of minutes, or at least even with the amount of minutes, so if it's like 1 view per minute, good. If it's 2 views per minute, even better. That's a great post. And if it's 3 views per minute, then that's amazing. So if I refresh this, let's take a look at what happens. So now we've got 3 minutes in, and so 3 views. So you really have to give it about an hour or so, or at least 30 minutes to know overall, like, how is this post really going to perform, right? Because my audience follows me over Raspberry Pi a lot of, because I'm a Raspberry Pi person, this post just makes sense for me. And so really, this is why it has to be honest, because if it doesn't make sense for you, this is what we call self-branding. Self-branding is a very powerful thing, and so every 3 months of doing this, you'll find that it like explodes more and more every time, and the growth is exponential. So if you were to do this for 6 months straight, you can pretty much get any job you want, just about. Like, it's really wild. It's something. So that's a thing to think about. So do this. Do this for 3 months. Connect. So review. Start by looking for skills. Find some companies. Find the people in the companies and start connecting with the people in the companies. Be honest about it. And then curate articles daily and connect with people daily. And tell them what you want. Tell them what you're trying. Tell them you're looking for a job. Tell them that you want to hear how they got what they're looking for. Just straight up tell people. Don't make people guess. People aren't psychic, so don't leave them to be psychic. Be like, hey, I'm looking for a job, so I'm so fascinated in hearing what you're doing, because you're doing what I want to do. You're doing what I want to do. So that's how it works. This right now, it might not be the easiest thing to do, but with everyone I've talked to, it's the least stressful and most encouraging way to look for a job. And the other thing about it is, unlike doing it the scratch ticket way, the longer you do this, the easier it gets, because you basically end up having a whole bunch of people fighting with you to help you get your job, where it's literally not just you doing it. And while it sounds strange, I'll tell you right now, everyone I know who's done this, they always get jobs. Everyone I know who does this, they always thank me for it. They're like, oh, this is the easiest way to look for it. And then they always get to a point where they start getting so many interviews that then they're just overwhelmed with the interviews. And then I get this other alternative thing. They're like, maybe they're stressed because they're getting the interviews, but maybe they're not winning the interviews. And then it just kind of becomes about becoming a better interviewer. And you become a better interviewer usually through practice. So at that point, it's just practice, practice, practice. And while I know that if you end up doing 20 interviews, that might be maddening, if you do 20 interviews versus 3, I guarantee you're going to become a better interviewer, negotiator by the time you're done with it. And people then will tell me, they're like, oh, I can't keep up. I'm so tired from all these interviews. So if you want your problem to be that everyone wants you, then this is what you do, and everyone will want you. But you have to be honest with people. And the other thing is, if you actually don't have any skills, this might not work for you. You might need to go develop skills. Like, go buy a laptop and learn how to do something on it, or go buy a Raspberry Pi and learn how to configure it, or go build a gaming computer, or go upgrade your home network and learn how to do it all yourself if you had someone else do it. But learn something. And so, or even just ask all the people talking to you, like, what are their recommendations for like trainings, and just talk to people, ask people, constantly talk to people online. And I promise you, it's not as bad as it might sound. It's not as scary as it might sound. And if you actually just do it, it will change your life. And it's great. So good luck and go get the job. And this strategy can be done by anyone who at least has aptitude. You don't need experience. You don't need all these other things. But if you have aptitude, you can do this. And it's kind of hard to gauge aptitude. We built the Pi'd Hacker Experience to gauge aptitude and see where people are at. So if you don't even know where you're at, and you don't even know if you should be doing these sorts of things, then you can go through the Pi'd Hacker Experience and find out and figure out like what you already know, what you're good at, what kinds of things you can actually do. Maybe you don't even know what skills to search for in the first place. The Pi'd Hacker Experience is designed for that, very specifically for that, because this is too much of a pain point to try to walk people through. It's too complicated to try to walk through people through, and there is your hour of this is the easiest way to get a job. So, longer video than I thought it would be, but hopefully that was helpful, and thank you, and good luck, and feel free to message me if you have questions, because I want you to get a job. I do.